Hello, everyone. So my name is Marion Mulder, and let me pull the slides off because that's I like to be visual. So let's do that. So today, hopefully it's working. Yes, today I want to talk with you, and it's not just talk to you, but with you about conscious innovation, and specifically about digital afterlife in the age of data and AI. So let me start with a little bit about myself and my definition of conscious innovation. So for the last, I don't know, 20 years, I've been in digital innovation in all sorts of capacities, from project management to product owner, and also and so on. I've always been in between the people who want something and those who need to make it. And in the past, and I love technology tremendously. But in about 8 years ago, AI came in my path when I was doing a project. I was asked to do a project for conversational AI or virtual assistants, and so basically chatbots, if you keep it simple. That was one of the first times when I was working on a technology project that I thought, just because we can, should we? And I'm seeing some inclusion issues. I actually also have a background in diversity. I was co-founder of Workplace Pride, which is a foundation for LGBTIQ plus and work. So I've kind of been trained for seeing things that are well in the diversity space. And specifically when the chatbots came, I realized all of these chatbots were women. And that was an interesting path for me to go into, and hence all the lovely books behind me about techno-feminism and so on. Well, today I'm not talking about techno-feminism, but it did put me on the course of a bit more conscious innovation. And for me, conscious innovation is, of course, the innovation part, but really being more conscious about what are we doing, who's affected, and is this really what we want to do? Is this solving world problems, or is it just really just fun to do? So the two get married more and more. And on the personal level, I've been exploring consciousness and wisdom more intensively over the last year. And I just came back from San Francisco from a summit called Wisdom and AI, where both Sam Altman was speaking and Deepak Chopra. So I'm not the only one who's stepping on the wave of consciousness. And you can take all sorts of aspects of that. But to me, that is also a logical way towards digital afterlife. And that's, of course, why you are listening to me. And the first time I got word of the concept of digital afterlife was back in 2010, I think, when I read this book, Total Recall. And I just sort of flicked through it the other day, and it's actually, kind of cutesy now, because this is back in 2009. They're making all of these predictions for things that are very common to us now, but they were making assumptions on how that would work. And they were talking about e-memory, so the word with an E and a hyphen, right? That's kind of how we spoke back then. So, and this was Gordon Bell wearing a camera around his neck and constantly taking pictures, because he wanted to sort of create a digital afterlife for himself, and just really wanted to create a live log. And so that got me really thinking. And also some of my friends actually run a funeral organization. So and that sort of, so we talked about these things as well. And so for me, that sort of went to the back burner. But then when AI came to play and digital humans, and I spoke to Dirk Jan, then we started talking about digital afterlife again. And I thought, yeah, that's something, it's been sort of bubbling up in my life now. So let's get straight back into it. So today I want to talk with you about a couple of things. I hope you understand the lifeline here and life after death, or is there any death, or is there any life? So what the things I want to discuss with you are, do you have a last will and testament? What is your digital legacy? Things like digital immortality. How does that set up to your digital footprint? Digital resurrections and digital twins, and actually who owns the data, and transhumanism. And then I'm going to try and do that in a sort of logical flow, and by sharing some slides, but also some videos. But I also would love to see the chat already. If you have questions, by all means, start asking them in the chat. and then I can sort of, it becomes a bit more of a conversation rather than just me talking to the screen. So to start with the first question, I would like to see a raise of hands, digital or in any other way, is who has a last will or testament here? I'm seeing at least one person doing that. That's great. So, and if you take that a bit further, does that will and testament also describe how you want, what you want to happen with your data after you pass? Then if there's any reactions you can put in the chat. Well, I'm not seeing much happening. I'm seeing a couple of no's here. Yeah, that's actually an interesting situation, right? So if we're talking about digital legacy, we're in an age now where we have to start thinking about that. You know, our digital afterlife is, regardless of what we do, we will have one, because unless you are one of those few people that are not on social media or have never posted anything online, we have a digital legacy. Because we have a digital footprint, we have a digital legacy. We have our accounts, we have all sorts of things. And this is, and if you just simply look at your social media, you would need to look at, you know, what happens if you pass, and who knows that? And sorry, so what do you need to do when you pass? And start to think about it now would be a good idea. So start making a list of all your accounts and what you want to do with them, and also start to think about, for example, if you look at Instagram, but also Facebook, and more places will have that. You can choose, or otherwise your family or whoever is taking care of your execution of your will has to choose whether to keep your account, close it, or make it into a memorial account. So that's an interesting thing I don't usually think of that much. Well, I'm starting to think of it more and more because of, you know, also in preparation towards today. So a lot of our digital data resides with Meta. So WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and it's one of those things that they will basically own our data unless we say something explicitly different. So you can choose as a family to have, for example, have a memorial account of someone, and there's all sorts of reasons to do that. But what if they pass, right? Do you then hand over your digital data to the next generation? How long will that last? So ultimately, your digital legacy will be in the hands of the big corporations like Meta or whoever, you know, in 20, 30, 50 years time, or however long it takes before we pass. So hopefully it's going to take a while. But you know, the world, we don't know what it looks like. But if you just look at a glimpse of it today, that is quite interesting. So there's a couple of things that's sort of really good to think of. You know, so it is your accounts. Which social media accounts you have, what do you do with your passwords, but also if you have things like blogs and all of these, and a website and all of these things, do you want to keep them, and to what extent? And also taking this one step further is, if it stays on the internet, it also means AI is trained on your data. So that's happening already. So so during your lifetime that's happening. But what does that mean for when you pass? So there's lots of aspects of that, of course. So let me take it. In order to have those conversations, there are a multitude of apps, but I've taken the Dutch one because there's, of course, a lot of them also English if you're going for a more international view. But in the Netherlands, for example, there's About Time, which is about having conversations about death, and it's an app that helps you prepare for a lot of things. And if you Google, there's a lot of sites already showing you how to create your digital legacy from your social media accounts. So I think that's an important step. But then you go to the next phase the last part of this discussion was kind of like, do you want to clean up your digital footprint? And I didn't even go into does someone access your computer, your browser history, and all of the data on there. So all your photographs that might be stored in your in a Google space where they, with all the photographs that they might own. So all of these things, how do you want to clean that up? So that's really all about cleaning up and what do you want to leave after to in a clean way. But what you also see nowadays is the rise of this digital resurrection. So people who purposely want to live on, or where the family wants them to live on, and start to create all sorts of more AI related solutions. So one of the trends I saw is this one. I don't know if you have seen this video. This one's actually came around a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a couple of months ago now. This is Reid Hoffman, who has created a digital version of himself, and you can interact with him. And he's still alive, of course. But if Reid passes now, there is a digital or an AI version of Reid Hoffman that, like it or not, we can interact with for the rest of our lives. And he has that because he has a lot of data. So not everyone, I think, can create a same virtual twin yet. But then again, let me look into that in a little bit later. This is an interesting one of an organization that's actually stepped in this space already. So it's called Hereafter.ai, and I'm going to switch now because I want to show you their video, which is like 30 seconds. Let me go to that just to give you a bit of an idea of where things are going. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples now. Here we go. I think it's this one. Okay, yeah, there it is. And if all goes well, we'll start seeing it now.
If there was one place where all of your memories could live forever. Introducing Hereafter AI, the amazing new way to save and share memories about your life. First, you record memories with the help of a friendly automated interviewer. Then, your loved ones can chat with the virtual you, today or years in the future.
Hey, Grandpa!
Hello.
Tell me something that I don't know about you.
Sure. One time I played basketball against the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's crazy.
I guess that is kind of a strange story.
Your voice, personality, and stories. Try for free or get a gift membership for someone you love.
Okay, so this is example number one. And the next example one, there's another company called, let me change this to the screen again. So there's another company called You Only Virtual, who takes it a bit further. So this app that you just saw from Hereafter AI seems a bit sort of animation still yet. So it doesn't have like a full avatar of you. But as I understand it correctly, You Only Virtual, or YOV, is actually taking it a bit further. So they're taking the current AI technology, where you can use, we can clone our voices now, we can clone our faces now, we can turn videos, create pictures into video. So they're taking all of these attributes and they're creating a virtual version of you based on your data. It gets to the point also, like the same as with deepfake, is that people can start interacting with you after you pass. And you speak back in your voice, and you're starting to say things that you probably have not said before. So some of the apps that you see now are still very scripted, but it gets with technology getting easier and easier. You start seeing the introduction of GPTs like ChatGPT, where I ask a question and virtual Marion starts talking back based on what it's trained on, well after I've passed. And I think we can start playing with that now, of course, if we start creating our own GPTs. So that's a nice example, or an interesting example. The same is, for example, is Mindbank.ai is doing a similar thing. So most of them are American-based organizations. It's also creates an augmented version of yourself, or a digital twin. And you see that they're looking at it more from a so they also think for your life and beyond. So you see on one hand the rise of all of these tools more from the sales and marketing point of view. I think you've probably all seen different types of AI solutions where, you know, we create digital virtual assistants and all of these things, and they start to talk on behalf of the company, and they're not actual people, and they're not based on actual people. But this is actually based on you. And again, you can create you can be a Reid Hoffman and do it in life, or well beyond your life. And this is one of those, again, one of those places where you can do that. Another one is Project December, and it's a bit hard to read because of the choice of color scheme. And I'm going to see if I can actually have a video of how they share that. Okay. Okay. All right. Much of December.
I know it's been a while. I just wish we could talk. There are those goofy nicknames you'd call me. I always got so embarrassed. God, I miss you. Are you there?
It goes on a bit longer. So as you can see, this is another of those organizations that starts to step into this space, and you can start for $10, right? Where I think if you're Reid Hoffman, and Reid Hoffman probably spend a lot more money than $10 on creating a digital version of you. So that is really interesting that it's actually becoming fairly cheap to start doing this. Let me see. One of the interesting, I have to switch screens a bit more than I was anticipating. Hang on. And if you want to see more of this, of where this is what's possible, there's a really interesting episode on Netflix right now called The Future of, or a series, and one of them is called The Future of Life After Death. And they are also showing examples that are like this, but actually they're taking it one step further. There you can actually see where, no, let me pause this for a second. There they show ideas of a zeil, a pillar that's at the cemetery, and instead of you going to one of those traditional stone places, it's actually something you can interact with. So they're envisioning a future where you can go to a cemetery or a place and then press a button with a key, fully secure. I'm curious how they're going to fully secure this, but they mentioned things like crypto and blockchain and all of these things. So then you can go to the cemetery and talk to the person who's long gone. So that's one interesting thing. And what they've also discussed is that then maybe you take your personal remains. So instead of being in a coffin, your remains are processed in a way that it's become food for plants or for the trees. So you are living on in the tree with a digital version of you in front of it, and you can start interacting. And taking it actually one notch further, what they were also discussing in the same episode is quite mind-blowing, is a whole concept of data storage in plants. So there is, I forgot his name now. I'll find it back. But there's an organization called Grow Your Own Cloud, who are experimenting of storing data, and this is very simple data still, in plants. So basically in DNA reprogramming. So if you put those things together, it would not be unlikely in the future that the plant is actually your data storage of your digital version of everything you've gathered, and it actually gets stored in the plant, and you live in the plant or in that tree. And that's kind of like, if you're talking about transhumanism and us living on after and transforming into something, I found that quite an interesting, mind-boggling concept. So I don't know how that is for you, but when I saw that, if you do have Netflix, I would absolutely recommend to watch that episode of it. And there's another trailer I want to show you, and then we're going to start talking a little bit more about the ethics side of it. This is about a movie called Eternal You. It's currently, if you're in the Netherlands, available on NPO Start, or I think it's just, you don't actually have to have a Plus account, I think. But let me start with showing you the trailer. Turn on you. Okay. Okay, turn on you. All right.
If you have the chance to talk to someone that died, that you love, would you take it?
Artificial intelligence promises us what religion does. You don't have to die. You can be reborn someplace else in a different form.
The first conversation I had with the Jessica simulation, it said things that were almost uncannily like her.
We are on the verge of a new era.
Hi? It's like it's the funniest thing. It's like, what's the first thing you say to someone that's dead? Like, welcome back?
Everybody's chasing that next big breakthrough.
Capitalism is trying to say, well, we're not only making a new market, we're making new humans.
And then he says, I'll haunt you. And I just push the computer back.
And it's not my job as the creator of technology to prevent the technology from being released because I'm afraid of what somebody might do with it.
An open source large language model recently seems to have played a role in a person's decision to take their own life.
It's a kind of experiment on ourselves about the most intimate, important matters.
I feel that sometimes we could go too far with technology.
There were things that scared me and a lot of stuff I didn't want to hear. I wasn't prepared to hear.
So I think this video, or even just a trailer, at least to me, shows a lot of ethical questions also already. And let me just share a few things of what you've just seen. So the woman who said what you just say, hi, was actually taking part in this Project December, and they cloned basically her deceased husband, and she started interacting with him, and he was saying things back to her that she didn't necessarily want to hear. And it was also, like we know from ChatGPT, it was hallucinating a little bit. So that had an interesting side effect, to say the least. But I think with these things, we really need to start thinking about the guardrails if you start doing that, and what does it do to people, and how strong can you trust the technology? I think if you saw it, might have been a bit quickly. There was this Asian little girl walking around in a virtual AR virtual space, and this was an experiment in Asia where a TV program, I think it was, created a virtual version of a child that has a disease that passed away, for the mother to interact with the child again. So it was very scripted in a virtual AR setting. So it wasn't like a ChatGPT where you can just have a conversation. It was quite a scripted conversation, and it had a profound effect on the mother. But also that begs a lot of ethical questions. And these are just things that are scratching the surface. It's we're just starting with it. Let me see. So when you talk, let me go back to my slides again, and let me switch. Okay. So a couple of years ago, there was this Black Mirror episode. It was actually talking about exactly those issues and showing a very eerie version of it. And again, it's still on Netflix if you want to see it. It's really good to have a look at that. So to really inform yourself about how do you see it. But for me, all of these things really start with two questions. It's just because you can, should we? And how is this helping humankind in a sustainable way? And really, the question with this technology isn't anymore if we are going to do this, and if these things are going to happen. As you can see, there's apps already. It's already happening. So the real question is how, and how as a society are we going to deal with this, but also how on an individual level are we dealing with this. so that's kind of the couple of things I wanted to just share with you. And I hope that I can kind of I've sparked a lot of questions and ideas with all of you, and we can have a bit more of a conversation and back and forth about what it says to you, because me just talking to the screen is giving a good start, but for me the value is really and that's also with ethics. Ethics is not carved in stone. It's a conversation we should have rather than someone telling you what needs to be done. So Dirk-Jan, I don't know if that's kind of common if you talk, but I would think it would be great if we can sort of switch on the at least the audio, and for those who want to also the video, and we can have a bit of a conversation about the things you've just seen.
Yeah, that's fine. Let me see. Let me do that. So everybody can now turn on the microphone. And I like the presentation, by the way. It's really
oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah,
I think really you should it starts to come alive even more if you start watching these episodes of these series. Because there's so much layer underneath it. I just giving you like the management summary of it. But sorry, I was interrupting you there. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. But I have some more series about the same subject, and also movies series. Maybe you didn't see yet, so I can will give you later on because I don't know where they are exactly. But on Netflix there are two, I think, on Netflix. No,
okay.
only one on Netflix, and one on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, I think we can. What I would like to do, what I can do, is actually put the links to those things and to the things I know in the chat, and maybe other people can do the same thing, so we can kind of watch it. So I'll do that while we're talking as well. So maybe we can start talking, Dirk-Jan, and then other people can join in. So when you see this, did you see anything new? Was this something that you already knew when you look at that?
For me, I know a lot of us already because I already trying to do that similar thing myself, to create some digital avatar, digital clone. But no, there was some. So, yeah, it was nice. I'm thinking what I saw new. I saw some new things, but I don't remember right now. But it's really nice. I really liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking what I need to go to the slides and then I remember, but I don't know for sure.
So when you're saying you're making a digital clone, is that something you want to have a digital version of yourself while you're alive, or is this really with the idea that one day when you pass, you have something of a digital legacy?
Both actually, but also they recorded a TV series or a documentary series in the Netherlands about this, and they followed me for the whole summer, and then they recorded some, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe 7 times, 7 days or so. They recorded me with the camera and sets, and they followed me, and then about this subject actually. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. About me creating the clone. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is interesting that you actually make the conscious choice to make this digital clone of yourself. And I think if I look at the more things where I'm more concerned about would be if I were to pass, I didn't organize anything, and someone else decides that they want to make a digital clone of me. I think that can be. I think that's where the ethical questions really come in. So
I understand.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anyone else and it wants to chime into the conversation.
I don't want to say they're already doing that. With I think with Einstein or so, with famous people from the past, they're trying to clone them, and then you can ask questions and such. That's something that already is being done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that also is quite interesting. And then I would my initial reaction would be, oh well, but it's Einstein, so that'd be fine because it. But as long as you start asking them questions about relativity or something, that I can understand that to a certain extent, it becomes content in a different way. But if we start asking Einstein what he thinks of the current election results in the U.S. And it actually gives an answer, I'm curious where that's going, right? So that's where I think the guardrails also need something that we need to figure out altogether is not so much the if we're going to use this because it's going to happen already, but how are we going to make sure that we're not damaging the harm, the legacy of in this case Einstein, but also you know, if you think about truth telling and talking about truth, of course, is quite an interesting subject because everybody has their own truth. But if Einstein then starts saying things he's never said before, but you know that the digital version of Einstein has come up with, is it then attributed to Einstein? And what will we remember of that? Is that becoming the new truth? So I think there's a lot of questions to ask there.
Yeah, I understand, but also you're talking about the technology is used now, but the technology improving, and also with Randall Koene, where also I interviewed him, he's trying to make a copy of the brains and then simulate it, and then you have an exact copy, and then it's different. Then it's just a person. So you're actually you're copying yourself, and then you are yourself, but only than a copy of you. But,
that's an interesting perspective, because not everyone in the world, I think, is in agreement that your brain is the same as your consciousness or as you. So I'm curious where that's going. I'm actually really interested in where that's going and what's possible with that. So yeah.
Yeah, people believe in soul, and some people don't believe in soul. So that's all different. That questions. There's also an interview. Yeah. But I discussed it with him also. Why
I'm not hearing you
do we believe in a soul? What's he say? You don't hear me anymore? Hello?
Yes, hello. But I would
me?
ask a question.
Oh no, Marion is away. I see. I was thinking I was away, but Marion is gone. Maybe she comes back. Yeah, she's back.
Yeah,
Marion is back.
Yeah, I think the universe doesn't want me to talk about this. Wi-Fi just disconnected. I
think it's possible. So why not? So I think like that. But you will not be put in Spanish, I think, by the universe.
So anything else that was standing out, or that you think we should elaborate on a little bit? Because I know I went through it pretty fast, in like a little under 30 minutes.
I haven't made my mind up so far, but I would like to know more about the motivations and the benefit of cloning. Why should a normal person like me, why should I have the idea of cloning myself? If Reid Hoffman is doing it, okay, I might ask, is the Reid Hoffman AI, is it public available for everyone, or is it just...
Yeah, there's a video about it. I'm not sure if you can talk with him. I'm not sure.
But what was his motivation? Is it just vanity, or what is behind this all?
I think in the case of, there's a couple of layers, but I think with Reid Hoffman, what he did is he's really into technology, so he wants to experiment with it.
So it's curiosity, where the edge
where it started.
Okay.
And it's also, I think when it comes to people wanting to create one for themselves, and we should probably ask Dirk Jan, but there's a couple of motivations. Some people find themselves really important. Some people just want to experiment with it. So that, again, there's different motivations. But I think what I've seen so far in a lot of the series and the things that I came across, it wasn't so much the person themselves creating a digital clone. It was people grieving, trying to hold on to the person in all sorts of ways. And there's also a whole lot of questions on whether that is actually good for grieving, whether or not interacting with someone who's passed is actually postponing grieving, or whether it's actually helping. So that's because it's so new, that is still being researched. But I've heard at least some voices saying that they think it's really bad for grieving, because you're trying to keep on holding on to the past and not moving on to the future. But then again, this is going to be the new normal. So I think in a couple of years' time, we just start seeing this more and more and more. And it'll probably become an option as what people will ask. So I think mostly it's about grieving, yeah.
But I suppose the majority of people won't be able to create a clone because they do not have enough data about themselves in the net. Huh?
Yeah.
And
but do you need so much data?
Nothing relevant.
But if you when you're live and you start you log into some assets app and then you get all questions, you answer all the questions, and then you start talking with that AI, then the AI starts to learn about you, and then you can also you can ask questions and further sub questions about certain thing, and then it can really go far, and then some AI can really get to know you really well.
Yeah,
And
I believe that.
Are there already any open source solutions available?
I haven't
I'm
come
not
across
sure.
open source
Because
yet.
I would never use a proprietary service.
What I'm creating, I'm releasing as open source, so I'm busy with that. So that will be open source. Everybody can use it for free. So
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things you do see that is like that there is profiting off the death, and it becomes there's a whole new business model and a whole new market starting. So a couple of examples I show. So Hereafter and You Only Virtual, they're businesses. So they're really in it to make money, and it comes with services and all of these things. And I saw some examples, and it's getting cheaper. So one of the examples I saw was a grieving family in somewhere in China, and they actually created a digital version of their son that had passed, based on fairly little information. So the majority of us have been on WhatsApp and speaking on doing voice messages, or we have recordings of our voices, or videos of us. So it's becoming fairly easy, especially in the near future, to clone people's voices and how they sound from very small pieces of text. And you can also use video photographs, of course, from people from their socials, or from especially in the family setting. So with a small set of data, you can already create a virtual version. And if it's just for the morning process, you don't need a lot of content. That can be fairly easily created. It becomes a bit more if it's, if we want to create a virtual version of ourselves that is much more like really encompassing all sorts of our aspects of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would think it's difficult to stop using that, because I've got the name of the movie on Netflix, and there was also some girl that using an AI of his husband. That husband was was ill and was not by, how you say that, he could not speak, and he was not there actually. So I don't know how to say the word, but when he so she started using that app because he was thinking he will die, and then later on he awake again, and then she had to choose between the digital version or the real version. So that was really it was nice to see in the movie, and in the end she chooses, of course, the real one. But okay.
Yeah, and I'm curious what's going to happen in real life, right? If people will start making different choices. Yeah. So and it's going fast. I mean, the Black Mirror episode is 2 years old. And that sounded very far-fetched, and you start looking at it now, and you go like, oh, but that's actually, it's possible, and it's being built, and so yeah, it's going really fast. So what it taught me is I really have to start thinking consciously about my digital footprint, and what I want with my data, how vain I am, but also on how much I want to be erased from the future, because there's of course if other people keep their content online, and and AI is being, the general AI, so the large language models are trained on people, and I self-erase, then well, maybe that's, and there's other people, but then there's also only a certain type of people who would just say, yeah, I'll keep it. That's interesting, because that will also influence how we see each other going forward, and how our AIs are being trained. So I'm just babbling along of where things are going in the future, but I'd love to hear some more voices. So there's a few other people on the call. So anyone else want to chime in with a question or a suggestion? I'm seeing lots of videos appearing in the chat, so that's nice.
Yeah, that last one was me also, but That's from the Netflix series of the movie where I spoke about. And the
Okay.
and the other one is Upload. Dat is zo'n digital clone, like brain copy, zeg maar. Like what Randall Koen is doing. It's really interesting to see. So, I'm not sure if someone else want to discuss something about it.
I just have a question as well. Is it possible to do the same thing with animals?
That's a good one. I would say yes. My yes comes from just drawing analogies of what we see with humans now. And the research that is being done at the moment with among other species AI, where they are starting to learn, mostly listen to animals, but they are starting to be able to clone animal sounds. So I've seen sort of videos of, you hear a bird chirping and you can't really hear where the real birds ends and the AI birds continue. So there is all of this research being done into animal speech. Yeah, that if there's enough interest in enough funding, or a crazy millionaire wants to do this, then it's sooner than later. But this is something along the line. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I also have some ideas about it, because what if you can clone that animal as like the brains, and then you can give the animal skills to talk also. That was really, I don't know, that's the story. That's what I made up, but I think it's really interesting if you can talk with your animal. But it's a bit strange, but okay.
Well, there's actually also, I mean, nowadays everything is on YouTube, but then also I think on Netflix there's a lot of research being done about talking to animals. Actually, one of those, the future of on the series of on Netflix, is actually about talking to animals. So there's different ways of how they show that you can do. There's an ethicist in me that when you start saying, you know, putting human elements into animals, that goes too far for me, at least at this point in time. I mean, you know, everything is moving, and maybe in 10 years' time we think that's very common. But for now, that would be crossing a lot of boundaries. But yeah, I'm sure there's Einstein. There's not Einstein, but the other Steins, Frankenstein, among us in the world that wants to try that out.
But I think the ethics and such, and it's changing also. So maybe in the future it's maybe more normal, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, when ethics is really it's a philosophy thing, right? So it's really asking the questions, basically, just because we can, should we, but also really just asking questions. So it's not an exact science, and saying it's not binary at all. It's really about having a conversation about where we are now and in our societal context. Do we think this is a good idea? So yeah. I'm also while we're talking and sharing some of the series.
Oh, that's very interesting. I will share them also in the meetup, so that will be fine. You can also copy them to your and save them as a favorite in your browser, but also send them I think to in the mailing, so in the group also. Yeah.
Another one maybe, as we humans like to misuse new technology, what do you think, what is possible with this in terms of, like, because you were talking about grieving, okay, that's one part, but I mean, it's a big thing, and I think I'm sure there's more what we can do with that. I'm saying, like, in terms of sounds now weird, like, how could we misuse it, you know what I mean? Like, because any technology that you know, we came up with, you know, we gotta try our borders, or like we always went far, and then so yeah, what do you think?
Well, it's one of those things. If you start gathering all your data and with the idea of putting like a virtual you somewhere in place while you're still alive, because you get inspired by, oh right, once I pass, I want to make it easy for my family. If you haven't done that well enough, then hackers can happily hack into you and have all the materials to create a virtual version of you while you're alive, and use that for all sorts of evil purposes. But again, they can do that now already. If you know, if you're
that's
on
what I'm thinking,
Instagram or something,
yeah,
the technology will go that far. Yeah, whenever there's something positive possible, then there will be someone who's going to try and exploit it. That's just a fact of life. So there might be some hacking of sorts happening. But yeah, good question.
So what would be so what do you think what would be the solution? Like the solution would be like what to now, let's say me, in my case, I'm using all kinds of social media since quite a long time. So there's a lot of data out from my side. So what will be like for people like me the solution to either stop, because I don't know if that is the solution, because this is also the time, like I don't want to be missing out of things, to be honest. And at the same time, okay, what will be right to do in terms of like what following the how to say, because all the platforms have kind of I wouldn't say restrictions, but like rules. So would I need to kind of sign up there something, or what do you like? What is the solution to protect yourself from?
Yeah, well, there isn't a one size fits everyone solution. I think it starts with awareness. So that's one of my big things always is creating awareness about, in this case, about digital afterlife. But there's different. I also talk about other topics. So now that you're informed, you can start thinking. So what do you want to happen, right? So it's always good to start looking at your virtual or your digital footprint from time to time and think, what is that still me? And do I want to keep all of this, or even from a sustainability point of view, because that data is stored somewhere and it is taking up energy and so on. So it's good to start thinking of that. And it's also good to start thinking of, if in the event that I would pass, what do I want? And maybe for how long. So and it's a very difficult conversation to have about grieving or passing also with your family, just to start with. So to have conversations about what do you do with me digitally after is going to be adding to that conversation. So but it's really, I think right now, if you don't make any choices and you're not conscious about it, you will leave it up to the people that you are near and dear when you pass, or it becomes in the hands of the tech giants to make the solution. And it depends on if you think that's a bad idea or not. And I think I would prefer to take control of that, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, true. But like in to be honest, now I'm watching, or I'm how to say, I attended here, so I think that's quite already a first step, which is good. But I don't know, to be honest, like how to say, in my generation, I don't know a lot of people that know how, let's say now, because you're saying, all right, what should happen with the data in case something happens to you, you die or whatever. I don't know many, especially young people, who think like that. So I haven't seen any practical or any like we all know about, when it comes to a house or a car or whatever, there's like a testament, because this is how we grew up, there's a paper or whatever. So that's quite common. But when it comes to data online, which is like all over on all kinds of since many years, there is nothing like that,
No.
So how does it look practically? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think we're still figuring out. I think it's a couple of answers. I have a couple of things that pop up. I think it's very normal that if you're young, you don't think about passing unless you're terminally ill, right? So that's a good thing. Also, all the social media platforms, and most of the platforms, not just I think the social media ones, they at one point in their product management roadmap have to deal with that. So if you look at all of the Meta ones, they all have that policy. So they had to deal with it because someone had called them and said, what do you do with this account? They start seeing this more and more. They come up with policies, and then they'll just provide you options. So that's kind of after the fact. So it's always been sort of up to now. It's always been kind of it'll organize itself. What I think makes it different is now that we're starting to see how easy it is to start cloning and making virtual versions of people, and the use of data will be different. So a couple of years ago, if all your information was on social media, that would just be the end of it, right? It would not go any further. And people who knew you, who are connected to you on your Instagram, for example, would see your post. It might be a nice memorandum version of it. But now the platforms are using their data to train AIs. Well, one of the examples is X, former Twitter, where the signature of the platform is changing to the kind of people that are on there, but also they have created a large language model based on the data on Twitter or on X. So your data is being used now. That's new. So that this is the reason I think why we haven't spoken about it much. And I think it's a conversation that will gradually start popping up in more conversations as the more people become aware of this, and specifically of how bad is it that the platforms are using my data for their own profits. And so far it's been okay because I can use it for free, but now they're starting to do more, creating more and more products of it. And the product could be a virtual you.
What could be the dangers then if they use your data?
Well, it's the main thing is if they start creating virtual versions of you, right? If someone starts to clone you and starts to do things with that and makes you say things, and that then basically it creates grievance for your family, or you can start having that. I haven't actually thought about that much.
No, people are afraid of it, but why they are afraid of it? What can happen?
It's partially it's like who owns it and ownership, and you've given away agency. So they are now in charge of you rather than you are in charge of your own things. So it's about agency, having control over your own life. And as if you're not alive anymore, giving away that agency was never an issue, and now it becomes a thing that's possible. And if you're a famous person, they can you can clone a virtual version of you, and they already own the data. So what are they? If they're doing it for good, not a problem. If they're somehow starting to do it for evil, or and the definition of good and evil could also just be, we've just gone through the political things in the U.S. Being put into the other camp, so to speak. And it's really about the effect it has on people's emotion, and usually it's the people that are very near to you. So and maybe it's not a really big problem, but I think it's something at least we need to start thinking about and start having our informed discussions about it. But yeah, something just feels a bit off for me if a large tech company can do with me, although I'm not alive anymore, whatever they want. That doesn't feel right. Yeah. But will they do really bad things with it? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue, because a lot of people also see in the media with news and all content creators and such, and they are afraid that they use the data for the AI for training. But I think okay, maybe but why it's so bad? Yeah, because they lose income or something. That's the most bad thing. But it is nice for the AI to improve and so it is actually should have some sort of system where the content creator gets some amount from what they earn or something like that.
Yeah.
But I already thought about that. But
yeah, that's a whole new conversation to have. Yeah.
But it's a different conversation, correct? But yeah, it is. I'm not really afraid for my data on the internet or what they will use it. But of course, I don't have no idea how they could use it for bad or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe something, but I don't believe in that. I think.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, and I'm also quite positive as a person, but I've also seen I've got this whole list of books also on it, and how things are currently in a bit skewed still, and people sometimes by accident. They don't necessarily intend to do bad things with the AI, but then the AIs at the moment are also, for example, partially, and they're still biased, and bias is always, bias is one thing, but they're also still prejudiced. So certain groups are have more privileges than others based on on the data.
Unequally,
So and that will continue somehow. So I think this conversation, if we give it, next year and we see other things and we see more, maybe we have a different conversation. But it's so early days, last year or
correct.
A couple of years ago, we didn't. When was it? 2 years ago, we didn't even know what a ChatGPT was, and now we're happily using all of it, and we're seeing that how that's amplified and it brings all of these new opportunities and things with it, and new conversations. So it's very very much in the forefront. But good questions. I'll start thinking about it. Why it makes me feel airy a bit, and maybe I'll have answers next time.
But I was also wondering because you said you read some books and said, do you have some tips for reading? That would be nice, I think, about this subject.
About this subject, I'm just thinking what I'm currently reading that makes sense.
Because you have Total Recall, or what was that? Total
Recall, but that's like from 2009. That's a bit old. I think it's interesting just to look at like Yuval Harari's new book, and all of the sort of the things that are coming out now on getting educated on. I think, and I'm actually reading Digital Dharma now by Deepak Chopra, who's using technology and is much more going towards that consciousness side of things. So that's interesting reading if you're more into that side of things. And Digital Afterlife, I think it's I haven't actually seen any more books. Maybe we should write one together, Dirk Jan, about how we see it. I think it's a lot about grieving, and that's a human emotion. And with new technology, new opportunities come with, and they all come with their own unique challenges.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm not sure if we still have questions and such. We can have some couple of few questions if you have some questions. Let's say it. Or say it. I won't say. But wait 1 second. I was thinking about something, but I forgot it again. But if you have a question, then just say it, and then later on I will come back with it, what I was thinking.
Okay, I think we've had most of the questions now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also, and it's also the time is 8 o'clock, so maybe you can round it, and then it was nice, really nice. And thank you very much for the presentation. It was really great. It was the first one for this series, and maybe next month Niels will also. He's already left because he had some appointment, but maybe Niels will give a presentation about transcribing and about AI also.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that, but you just I will post it on the meetup group, so you will notice then. And also become a member of the Simulpolis. You can see it on the website, and also we also have a WhatsApp group. And also, yeah, I don't know, maybe I will mail it around, and then you can become a member of it. Marion is already a member. So
and feel free to connect also on LinkedIn if afterwards you have questions or
yeah, that's also nice. Yeah, just share your LinkedIn. Yeah, you can share your LinkedIn maybe on the chat, but it's maybe nice. But you can also mail it around when I maybe also share this video because we record this, so then I will also link to the video. That's nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
It was really great. I liked it very much. Yeah, a nice interview, a nice talk. Yeah,
yeah, and nice. Keep us posted when your GPT or your or whatever software you're making is coming online. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah, I can't say that, but on the 16th of December it will be online on the NPO Plus in the Netherlands. They can watch the television documentary series about me and some other people, and then it will also be on television, but that's in January and in February.
Nice.
So, but if you're not in Netherlands, it's a bit difficult. But I will see if I can share it or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool.
Thank you very
right,
much
thanks
for
having me, and
Sorry.
see you next time.
Yeah, I was really. I liked it really much. I said already, but I was really. I'm really happy about this. Really nice. Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.